Good afternoon and welcome to a special championship preview edition of Nutmeg Sports on the HA Network. Frank Granito standing alongside the captain, John Kovach, and the Tiger Cub, Kevin Coleman himself. The FCAC championship is set for boys hockey. It'll be the number 1 seed Ridgefield Tigers and the number 2 New Canaan Rams. Unfortunately, we could not get a Ridgefield Tigers hockey jersey, but Kevin Coleman's got his basketball one to save the day here. As we saw 2 good hockey games last night, boys. John, I'll start with you here.
Went chalk, not really surprised. I'm a little surprised at how off the rails that New Canaan Greenwich game went late and how one-sided that looks in the final stats. Ridgefield just took care of business, I felt, against that Stanford West Hill co-op and did what they had to do.
And for me, I thought that New Canaan game, you saw the fatigue factor kind of pick up finally for Greenwich. They were in the fight of their life those last 2 weeks of the season. All the way from that St. Joe's game we saw to the big win over Darien, having to play Stanford then, the comeback in overtime against Fairfield. I think ultimately it just caught up to them in the end by the time they got to the third period against the Rams.
Well, I mean, you think about it, that was really the equivalent with the games that they had to win to get in this haywire bottom of the ladder in terms of who got in, who was left out. They've basically been playing, they've played 5 playoff games to this point, if you think about it. That's a lot to ask emotionally of a team.
Ridgefield looked good from start to finish in their game, Kev. I think it was, the score doesn't resemble what we saw. It was a bigger than a 3-goal difference, but all the credit in the world to Christian Completaro, who kept that game from getting out of hand for Stanford West Hill.
You're right. I thought Christian played almost at times out of his mind. It's unfortunate that his defense didn't really step up for him last night. He made some wonderful saves. You look back at the tape; those are almost highlight worthy of tape worth of saves that he made. He made one with his pads. He made some great glove saves, some diving saves as well. Really impressed with Completaro. And at the end of the day, Ridgefield did take care of business. I thought Sean Gallagher has done an amazing job with this program, picking it back up, and now it's a team that's one of the favorites in the state, and they're favorites in the FCAC. And these are 2 teams, New Canaan and Ridgefield, who well deserve to be here, and it's fitting that I think New Canaan gets a crack at Ridgefield again, and it's going to be fun to watch on Saturday. And going back to what John said, I think I totally agree with him, is that the rails just fell off for Greenwich, and it's unfortunate. This is a Greenwich team that we had a blast, getting to watch over these past couple weeks, and Coach Rurak has been so great to us, and that's a great program. And again, at the end of the day, this is a young Greenwich team, and he said it last night. He didn't have the depth of leadership that he had. Akira, I thought, was excellent on the bench, trying to motivate his team, even though they were down 4-1, 5-1. He did a great job on the bench. But at the end of the day, this is a Greenwich team that will bounce back, and New Canaan looked outstanding.
The Tigers' biggest difference in the game was power play opportunities they're able to convert. We saw Stanford West Hill with a 5-on-3 advantage themselves give that up when they take no other way to put it, a stupid penalty, makes it a 4-on-4, then quickly becomes 5-on-3 in favor of the Ridgefield Tigers, and they score on both those opportunities. It was a 3-0 win for Ridgefield. Mateo Van Wees, Jonas Chang, and Matt Walker were the goal scorers. Let's take a look at the highlights from the Tigers winning the first semifinal.
Big checks in the corners. Rister from the point coming here. Completaro, the first save, and they score! It's going to be the Teo Van Wees off a rebound, and with 9:03 remaining in the first period, the Tigers strike first. Here's Stafford with it. Fujitani again, the wrister, and he scores! He wanted it right back, and he let a ripper go. Up high over the glove of Completaro.
Good save by Completaro.
As the turnaround and a rebound scores. The cross-ice pass broke the zone. The initial attempt from Forrest was stopped, waiting on the back door of the extra man. It was Matty Walker. The winner will face the Ridgefield Tigers in the FCAC Championship as they finish off a 3-0 win over number 4 Stanford West Hill.
The depth of Ridgefield really stood out to me, John. Stanford West Hill, as you mentioned at the start of the broadcast, they had a top line who was out there for most likely 65, 70% of that game, and eventually it was the second, third, and fourth line, those bottom pairs of defense that got it done for the Tigers.
And what you saw was those second, third lines coming in late in the game. I think they wanted to, you've got to hang around when you're the underdog in a game like that. You've got to stay close. So they leaned, as they did on Saturday, on that line of Cooper Healy, Gavin Dolan, and Nick Rich. And then as the game wore on, they could go to them less and less, which was kind of where I was afraid it would end up. And I think they just kind of ran out of gas. But Campo just, I mean, what can you say? I mean, he stood on his head 2 nights in a row. I mean, he's 70 saves over 2 games in the playoffs.
He was huge again, and it was in no way his fault that loss. Sean Keegan's awesome at the other end, Kevin. And the defense of the Tigers really impressed me, not only how they held it down on the back end, but very active on offense, involved lots of shots, traffic in front of the net, and I thought they propelled the Tigers to that victory last night.
And you just said traffic in front of the net. I think that's what the Tigers really do a great job, and that's where you saw a lot of their goals last night. How about Harrison Chuma? I thought he's been excellent as one of the Tigers' defensemen. McGreary as well, another good defenseman for the Ridgefield Tigers. This is a scary team that you don't want to face, especially coming up in the state playoffs as well. This is a defense that does a great job of blocking shots. They'll take the body, for the team. And I think, Keegan's, again, showing up when it matters most, making some great saves as well. I thought both goalies really stood out to me yesterday. The score doesn't really reflect it, but again, both goalies were outstanding.
In the second semifinal, New Canaan taking on the defending conference champion Greenwich Cardinals. It was a close game for the first 29 minutes. An Anton adding goal with 45 seconds before the second period ended really broke this one open, as the Rams would score 4 more in the third, including a half-court shot by the senior Teddy Hood. Let's take a look at the highlights from the Rams' victory yesterday.
Tyler Hill, as he looks to come back the other way. Cut inside of right. Hill back to the middle. Lets a wrister go, and he scores! To the back door. McMahon looking for Hill. It's poked around and scores! It's Tyler Hill again. Lawrence who came away with it. Lawrence working down the left wing, goes to the backhand, hesitates for a moment, pass out in front, and they score! Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Kevin. As McMahon had an opportunity in the slot. Hill to turn around, the rebound, score! It's the senior transfer, Anton adding, and the Rams are up 3-1. Teddy Hood takes that one and sends one that skips in on Presley and scores! Rams taking penalties at bad times as the puck here for Arnone off the post and scores.
On Saturday, what intrigues me, Ridgefield's handed New Canaan its only FCAC loss. They've beaten them twice. Tough to beat a team 3 times in the same season.
So New Canaan advances to their first championship game since 2013. The Tigers in their first since 2012, excuse me. John, we talked about how the top guys had to get going for New Canaan last night. Tyler Hill dominant through the first 2 periods of play.
Tyler Hill from the get-go made it clear that he was going to make sure that they got through to the final, and it showed right off the bat. Well, really first shift, he pushed it and continued that all through the game. Not just finishing, but setting up plays as well. He plays like that. He's going to be a tough stop for Ridgefield on Saturday.
It should be a really exciting matchup on Saturday. Ridgefield has won the first 2 this season. The last time we had a situation like this in the championship game, 2013, 2014, the Rams lost twice in the regular season to Darien, and were able to knock them off in the championship game. So something to keep an eye on here heading into that championship. But we've got a championship before that tonight on the HAN Network. Boys basketball. We're going to take a break right now. When we get back, we'll preview tonight's game. John Kovach, you're heading to the bench. We got a substitution coming in after the break.
Oh, come on, Coach. I want to play.
Captain's got to sit at some point in time. We'll be right back on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Get a fresh start to the new year by shaking up your meal routine. Walter Stewart's Market is your local source for a delicious selection of fresh and convenient salad shakers, like Southwest salad with chicken, Cobb with organic chicken, Power Vegan with fruit and quinoa, Greek salad with tabbouleh, and grilled shrimp with hominy. Grab one from our salad case or order from our deli today. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
While there's still a bite out on the water, most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
Whether you're looking for the freshest seafood, the perfect steak, or want to share delicious appetizers, look no further than the Stone's Throw in Seymour. Chef Peter Hom has more than 30 years of experience creating original recipes in his American eclectic style. Our dishes are made from scratch with fresh, local ingredients that pair perfectly with a seasonal craft beer, a signature cocktail, or your favorite wine. When you visit our Riverside location, you'll feel like you're on vacation when you're only a stone's throw from home. Visit us on Roosevelt Drive in Seymour or at StonesThrowCT.com. If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN Network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network, and we've also reached more than 2 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Back on the HAN Network as the Wilton Warriors Big Three has stepped onto the court now, and we get ready for tonight's FCX Championship in boys basketball. It's another rivalry renewed. Wilton and Ridgefield earlier this year when they met, a lot of fun both on and off the court. Obviously the students getting very into it. Shellfishly selfish at one point in time with lobsters hitting the floor.
Wow.
First thing that stands out to me tonight heading into this game, I got you there, the 1-3-1 zone of Wilton against Ridgefield. Don, if the Tigers come in and shoot the way they did in that semifinal game, I don't know that I want to give them much of a chance against the zone.
Yeah, well, the thing is with the zone, you would think that it would benefit a larger team like Ridgefield when you could dominate the Warriors with size inside, but that just doesn't appear to be the case. Though these Warriors, they swarm on defense. They play almost like the matchup zone. It's a very aggressive zone that they play. Very impressive to watch them do it.
And it's an interesting zone too with Jack Williams up at the apex and you got Cronenberg down low for him.
I'm glad you brought that up first, Frank. That was one of the big things, one of the big topics I want to talk about is this 1-3-1 zone that Wilton's going to come out and play for almost the entire game. Unless you break this press, they'll move to a man-to-man. But otherwise, this is a 1-3-1 press that they beat Trumbull with. And this is Trumbull is a very fast-paced offense, so this is a 1-3-1 offense that gives teams struggles all game long. You talk about Jack Williams at the top of the key, and then once you move it past Jack Williams, they'll move the double team on you and really swarm you and put pressure on you, and that's where they get their steals, and that's where this defense really comes in handy for the Wilton Warriors. So if you're Coach McClellan, you have 2 days or so to get ready, a day or so to get ready for this 1-3-1 offense that is really going to come at you from the get-go.
That's an excellent point, because when you think of a zone defense, you think of a 2-3 guys, 5 guys standing with their arms out, and that is not at all what Wilton brings to the table.
It's not, and even down low, this is not a big Wilton Warrior team, Don, and it's amazing that they're so physical down low. They'll box you out no matter what size you are, and they'll grab the board, which is still fascinating to me because they've beaten some big teams like Trinity Catholic, like Trumbull in these FCIAC playoffs, who really on the court are much bigger than them, but they're just the physicality-wise, it really is amazing how they've been able to box out, get rebounds, and move in transition.
And I'm glad you mentioned the physicality there, because let me ask you this now, is that taking a toll on Wilton? We're seeing a lot of bodies hit the floor very frequently, and they're getting up slower and slower now, heading down the stretch. How healthy can Wilton be, Don, heading into this championship game? I mean, we saw Jack Wood, Jack Williams, Matt Cronenberg, all at some point in time in the postseason have to be helped off the floor.
Well, my first thought is that they're teenagers. They've got 32 minutes to go to a possible league championship. I wouldn't worry about them at all. I think this Wilton Warrior team is going to be ready to go. And I think from there, if you're thinking about it from a Wilton perspective, those players aren't taking a beating. In their mind, they're giving one. So I wouldn't worry about them at all.
Don hit it right on the head there. I mean, this is the championship game. This is the first time that these two teams are in this FCIAC final for boys basketball. They're gonna put everything out on the line. Yes, they have states coming up, but an FCIAC championship against Ridgefield, your arch rival, I think no matter what injury you have, if you're Jack Wood, if you're Jack Williams, if you're Cronenberg, you may be having a little bit of an ailment coming into this game, but at the end of the day, these kids are gonna put everything they have on the line. And you talk about Ridgefield, McNamara. Still had, he was injured during the season. As some player, he has a knee brace on as well. These are all, students that are, throughout the season have been injured at some point in the season, but they're going to give everything they have tonight. And I think it starts not only because it's an FCIAC final, but it's that big rivalry between Ridgefield and Wilton.
Yeah, they may be limping tomorrow morning a little bit, but for tonight, for the time the ball's in play, not worried at all.
And we're seeing the highlights from the semifinals here, and Wilton was 10 of 16 behind the three-point line in that semifinal matchup. They got off to that hot start. How important is it for the Warriors to get that hot start again here, or can they afford in this game to maybe come out of the gate a little slowly and expect to pull off a comeback here? I'll start with you, Kevin.
They can't afford it. I think they need to come out same style. They need to hit their shots early, and that's where we've seen them have success. You see, this Wilton team, if they hit their shots early, this is a team that's deadly. And I think if they start hitting their shots early on, watch out, because the Ridgefield Tigers are going to be the ones who are trying to make the comeback. We have seen Wilton make great comebacks, and I think this is why they are here in this championship game. But you never want to be trailing in a championship game like this. If you're Wilton, I expect them to come out and try and hit some three-pointers. We talked about Jack Williams. How clutch has he been, especially in that semifinal game, so clutch, hitting some big three-pointers. Drew Connolly, Cronenberg again. I mean, they got to hit their shots early, Frank.
And you say that, and when Wilton comes out and when they hit their threes, when those first couple threes fall, they almost go into a feeding frenzy mode where they can put 16 points on you in about 2 minutes. But you mentioned the importance of playing from ahead for the Warriors, and as Frank and I were saying off the air, if the Warriors are up by a little bit as time's running down, you better hope you have a 2-possession lead, because Ridgefield is going to hit that final shot.
They're going to hit that final shot. One thing I think both teams are sighing at now is they're not playing at Fairfield Ward, heading to Alumni Hall. It's going to make for a much better atmosphere. Hopefully it's going to make for easier free throws down the stretch, as we've seen in both the boys and girls tournaments with those rims at Ludlow and Ward High School. Don't even get me started on the free throws.
Frankie, free throws, man. You've been disappointed.
It's been nuts, and I'm telling you right now that Danbury, Trinity Catholic are all, even possibly Darien, are all sitting in positions right now saying if we had made 1 or 2 more free throws, we're playing in this championship game.
You're absolutely right, because even after that semifinal game against Ridgefield, getting a chance to speak to some of the coaches on Danbury, they just were shaking their head saying, we just didn't hit our foul shots. And that's what hurt them. That's what forced overtime. That's what forced double overtime. And at the end of the day, that's why they went home.
And boy, Alumni Hall, what a great venue for a game like this, with that 1,200 seat student section in one end zone, and then and the hard parabolic roof. It is the loudest arena you've ever been in for a big game like this.
We do want to mention there are no pre-sale tickets for tonight, so make sure if you are going to the game, you get there early. 2,800 capacity for that one. Let's take a quick break here. When we get back, we're going to look at the opposite side of the court, break down the Ridgefield Tigers and what they've got going, and we'll see who has the advantage heading into tonight's championship game. You can see only on the HAN Network.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram with one of the largest inventories of new 2- and 4-door Wranglers. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Browse our websites, scapchryslerjeep.com or scapdodge.net to find the new Jeep, Chrysler Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck you've been looking for. Just 2 miles from both I-95 or the Merritt Parkway exit 44. Save thousands at the President's Day event and Ram Truck Month, now through February 28th.
Have a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Basketball, hockey, skiing, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
At the Milford Bank, we offer an extensive selection of lending products and services to meet virtually any need. Submit your application online in our Mortgage Web Center. Start to finish, you can apply for a loan in as little as 10 minutes. Our knowledgeable and helpful staff are available to meet with you at your convenience. To learn more about what we can do for you, stop by one of our Milford Bank offices or visit us at milfordbank.com. The Milford Bank, always there. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, InSports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. Sign your child up now for InSports Future Stars Basketball Academy, teaching skills on the basketball court for boys and girls ages 5 through 9. Visit InSportsCenters.com for more information on this 7-week program. And for adults, spots are also still available for our men's 30 and over and 40 and over leagues. Like and follow us on Facebook.
We told Dad he could have his office back if he sold 150 cars last month.
Deal's a deal.
Well, Dad, you did it. You get your office back.
Forget it. I'm having too much fun down here. My new goal, 160 cars. Wow. Folks, if you ever wanted a great price on a new Nissan, now is the time.
Right now, lease a 2017 Altima 2.5S for only $99 a month.
Isn't it time you got Millerized?
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
Back on the HAN Network, it's a breaking news. Before we start the final segment of the show, due to a conflict of interest, Kevin Coleman has been traded back to his hometown Ridgefield Tigers. Got to show the Tigers some love, Kev. Come on.
Got to go back to my alma mater here. Go Tigers tonight. Hail Ridgefield.
And let's talk about those Ridgefield Tigers who, an improbable comeback win down the stretch there against Danbury in the semifinals. Zach Essenplayer talked, after the game, hit that huge three-pointer. How important is he to the Tigers' success tonight?
Oh, he's huge. There's a reason why he's the captain of the team. And, he may not be, it's funny, after that game, speaking to not only Coach McCullum, but his dad even, saying that Zach is, he doesn't like to shoot. And he had enough confidence to hit that big buzzer beater. And how about the layup that he hit to tie the game to force double overtime? That's almost kind of not being talked about. that was, again, another big drive inside the lane, and he gets it to go. But he also, we talked about missed foul shots, Frank. He hit some clutch foul shots down the stretch in this game, even in regulation. But, this was a Danbury team who, going to the half, really had all momentum on their side. You see Alex Price hitting that three-pointer there in the corner that really sparked Ridgefield's comeback. Both teams a little sloppy in the first half, but at the end of the day, Ridgefield really took care of business. A big block there by McNamara. He also needs to be on the floor. And without Longo and Ladoudy, to me, I still can't believe they won this game. They both fouled out. And you see this three-pointer here. They see the screen from McNamara and the big three here. I mean, the place went nuts. And what a three-pointer he hit to force overtime. At the end, it really was a great game.
And what about the mental toughness of both teams, but especially of the Tigers? I mean, you hit the big three to send it into overtime, and watching the game, I thought to myself, well, there's no way Danbury comes back from that. And then they do, holding the lead again as we come down the stretch of the first overtime. Ridgefield scores again to tie it up, and then it looked for all the world like Danbury was actually going to win the game in third overtime on a comeback before Ridgefield was finally able to seal the deal. So, one thing that we know, as I mentioned in the previous segment about these Ridgefield Tigers, is if they have a chance, they're gonna make the play when they need to.
McNamara has been the leading scorer all season long. He was not. That was not the case the other night playing against Danbury. Had a huge defensive role with Longo and Ladoudy out. Is he your X factor tonight, or is there another player on this Ridgefield Tigers roster who's going to make the biggest impact on?
I'm gonna go with Ladoudy. I've just kind of got that feeling because the thing is, as we mentioned before, Wilton is athletic and they're tough, but they're also small. And and a 1-3-1, the way Wilton swarms, when you don't have that person to turn and box out specifically, I do think it does open up the interior a little bit and give Ridgefield a chance to open up really and utilize their size advantage.
And before I come to you for an X factor, you talked about the size advantage there. One thing that Wilton did really well, and they've done it all tournament long now against Trumbull, who was a much bigger team, and Trinity, they box out. They box out the key rebounders for opposing teams and allow teammates to grab rebounds. So that's a good matchup to keep an eye on with those small, undersized players against Ladoudy. Your X factor from the Tigers, Kevin?
I think someone who may come under the radar tonight is Alexander Price. You saw him hit 2 big three-pointers in the semifinal game against Danbury. He's a guy, if you leave open, he'll hit the three-pointer. But my biggest X factor, I like that pick for Ladoudy. I think that's a really good pick, is Joe Newborn. I think he kind of goes unnoticed sometimes, and he actually had a couple big buckets. He's great from the mid-range. He can hit a three, but he's great at driving the lane. And if Wilton isn't careful enough, they can leave him open, and he can drive a lane and make some big buckets for Ridgefield tonight.
For the Wilton Warriors, X factor on that roster, who has a big night for them?
Well, I think the X factor, you have to go with Williams. I mean, he runs with the combination of scoring and helping out his teammates and being the top man in the zone. I mean, he absolutely has to be on his game. And I realize he's the obvious pick, he's the chalk pick, he's not exactly under the radar, but he does so much for that team. They rely so much on him, offensively, defensively, and in the intangibles. It has to be him.
It's got to be my guy, Drew Connolly. Guy's been so good all year long, and for this Wilton team, they hit the injury bug a little bit during the midseason, and who was there to really pick this Wilton team up? Jack Williams out, Cronenberg out. Connolly was the guy who really picked this Warriors team up, put him on his shoulders, and led this team. He's going to be the big X factor tonight as well. Jack Williams as well, hitting some big shots in that semifinal game and all season long too. Drew Connolly, again, if they want to win this game, it's going to be because of him.
For me, 2 players that really stand out, I'll start with the Wilton Warriors, and I think it's Matt Cronenberg tonight. I think we've seen Williams take over a game as well as Connolly now. I think they complete that senior captain role. Cronenberg is going to get his chance tonight to really take over and win a game. On the other side, I want to go with Chris Longo, give him a little redemption after I picked him in the semis before he found out. I'm going to go with the freshman McGarity, and I think we're going to see substantial minutes from McGarity. How he handles the defensive pressure of Wilton, what he does defensively himself, expanding to shooters, is going to play a pivotal role at some point in time for that Tigers team. Who do you give an advantage to early on, Kevin, and why in this one?
I give Wilton the early advantage because look how they started against Trumbull. If they didn't have that start like they did, I don't think they're winning that game. They started, like you said, 10 of 16 from the field. they were hitting their shots early, and this is why they got that nice lead. Trumbull did make a little bit of a comeback, but the Wilton Warriors are too good when they had the lead like that. For Ridgefield, I think they need to play solid D, box out, and don't turn the ball over. How many times have we seen teams, commit travels, commit, silly turnovers, silly passes? And I think tonight that's what it comes down to. If the teams can take care of the basketball, I think we're in for a great game.
I was going to go with Wilton also, but I'm going to go with Kevin's second point first. I think when you have a big game like this, you have the jitters, you have kids flying around, everyone trying to make a play and win the game in the first 30 seconds. I think that kind of frenetic pace benefits the Warriors. If Ridgefield needs to stay disciplined, as we mentioned, they are the bigger team. But Wilton's been playing bigger teams all season long. If the game starts off with a fast pace, I think that benefits the Warriors.
We saw the Tigers slow things down against Danbury, allow McNamara to post up early on. So, great points. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. We will be on the air tonight from Alumni Hall at 6:30 with a special pregame show for you. Tip-off in the FCX Championship is 7 o'clock. By the end of the night, we will have a new conference champion for the first time in the FCX. Donald Kevin Coleman, a lot of fun today, boys. Glad we got into the spirit. Looking forward to tonight. We'll see you at 6:30 only on the HAN Network. He was wearing a Wilton shirt. People don't forget.
Sorry, I had it inside out. Sorry.